Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dive right into a seriously mind-bending discovery. We are exploring the idea that your language is not just some arbitrary human invention, but an absolute mathematical necessity. I know, it sounds a bit like sci-fi, but stick with me here. According to the foundational text we're breaking down today, the White Book, meaning unconfounded, the physical actions of your mouth aren't just making random sounds. They are literally executing structural reality.
Okay, so let's jump straight into this with a quick physical demonstration. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to completely close your lips, trap the air inside your mouth, and just hum. Go ahead, give it a try for a second. Now, pay close attention to what happens physically when you do that. Notice the vibration? Feel that pressure building up against your lips and that resonance deep in your skull?
That vibration you just felt right there, that is the physical, biomechanical mechanism of the letter M. And according to our source material, you didn't just make a random noise. You physically executed a topology that creates material mass in your very own flesh. Just think about the core concepts that are universally connected to this exact sound: matter, mass, mother, moon. The physical act of closing your lips and resonating air actually is the act of creating primordial material substance. Your mouth physically demonstrates the geometric meaning as it speaks the letter.
So the absolutely crucial point we're building toward here is that your mouth acts as a literal 3D printer. It executes structural reality through what the author calls the Consonant Code, which is this highly specific 22-unit mathematical framework. Think of it like this. Just like a 3D printer extrudes plastic layer by layer to build a physical shape, your mouth extrudes sound, breath, and geometry to build conceptual structures. Every single time you speak, you're essentially running a program. But to really grasp how our mouths became these biological 3D printers, we have to trace this mechanism all the way back to the very beginning of existence.
That brings us to Section 1, the 9-layer Genesis stack.
To really understand how we got here, we have to tear down the architecture of reality and look at the actual order of operations for how existence itself is rendered, moving from the macro all the way down to the micro. It all begins with layer 1, life. Or actually, think of it more like pure consciousness. This is the eternal, underlying foundation of everything. Life then makes postulates, which are basically source-level commands or decisions about reality. It's a fundamental intention, like a conscious mind declaring, "Let there be light." When these postulates interact with one another, they generate mass and quantity, which gives us layer 3, numbers. And naturally, from the interaction of numbers, we inherently get layer 4, the Boolean logic of the 4 classes. This dictates the strict, unbending rules of X and not X. If there's a must, there inevitably has to be a must not. It is the absolute binary foundation of reality.
And so, this foundational logic flows right into layer 5, logicism, where mathematics is established as the absolute and really the only objective truth in existence. But pure math and consciousness need an interface to actually experience reality, right? This gives us layer 6, the pictorial render, and layer 7, written numbers. Now imagine scaling this massive cosmic architecture all the way down to the human level. We hit layer 8, the Consonant Code. This is exactly where those vast mathematical concepts are mapped perfectly and physically to the human mouth. And finally, flowing from that exact same unbroken stream, we arrive at layer 9, the very silicon programming standards we use in our modern computers today.
This brilliantly illustrates a pretty staggering, awe-inspiring concept. The letters you speak every single day are identical in their fundamental nature to the binary logic of computer code. When a software developer sits down and writes a complex if-then statement in Silicon, they're casting the exact same kind of spell that an ancient scribe cast thousands of years ago using the Consonant Code. You aren't just making air vibrate, you are actively rewriting the reality field every single time you open your mouth.
Let's move on to Section 2, geometry of the 22 units.
Let's see how this vast cosmic code builds directly into the physical mechanism of your own body. We're going to look at the three-dimensional geometry of the consonants you speak. According to the text, every single consonant carries profound meaning on 3 entirely different levels simultaneously. Think of every consonant as having 3 unique physical coordinates. First, there's the individual consonant identity, its core, unchangeable meaning. For example, the letter B always means boundary. Second, there's the articulation point, which is exactly where in the mouth the sound is produced. And third, the manner of production, meaning how the sound is physically executed by manipulating your airflow and your muscles.
When you map this out geometrically, you start to see that the human mouth is an incredibly precise instrument. It's not random at all. Your lips physically form literal boundaries, so they inherently deal with bounded substance and clear definitions. Moving inward, the tongue ridge creates transitions, spreading airflow and lateral movement. And deep at the back of the palate, the mouth handles interior, protective, and continuing spaces. Your mouth is a completely mapped, perfectly aligned semantic domain where physical location dictates reality.
Let's compare two specific sounds made at the exact same location. The lips. A B is what linguists call a stop. You close your lips entirely, build up pressure behind them, and then release it. You are literally creating and then breaking a physical boundary with your own tissue. But an F is a fricative. Your teeth and lips don't fully close. Instead, you push continuous airflow through a narrow space. So the B mechanically creates bounded forms. Think of words like body or box. Meanwhile, the F physically creates flowing continuous forces like fire or flow. It's the exact same location in the mouth, but a totally different manner of production creates an entirely different geometric reality.
We can see this action happen again at the tongue ridge when we compare the letters T and R. A T is a stop. It seals the airflow completely and marks a definite completion. Think of words ending in T, like night, thought, or light. They are finished, sealed states. There's nowhere else to go. But R is an approximate or trill, representing ongoing emission and radiating energy. Think of words ending in R, like fire, power, or star. They are continuous. The fire still burns, the star still shines. The physical geometry of the letter inside your mouth perfectly matches the physics of the word's meaning.
To see this action-packed architecture perfectly, let's zoom in a little closer on that T. The source material refers to this as the Thoth matrix. The T is the ultimate executable mark in the mathematical code of reality. To put that in simpler terms, think of the T sound kind of like hitting the Enter key on your keyboard. It's the exact moment that raw potential becomes actual. It's that split second where your intention arrives, the command is executed, and physical form begins.
Just consider how this highly specific code maps onto your own anatomy. The similarities are honestly mind-blowing. Your tongue makes the vocal mark. Your thumb makes the spatial mark, pinning down material reality. Your toe is the gravitational mark, where your body finally meets the earth. And your thought is the cognitive mark. Your very anatomy wasn't just arbitrarily labeled with these words. It was built and defined by the exact same mathematical architectural principles that later named it.
And that leads us to Section 3, Writing Reality with Precision.
So, you might be wondering, why does this highly specific geometry inside your mouth actually matter for our day-to-day lives? Well, it matters because correct communication is the foundational item for improving all human endeavors. Mastering this 3D printing code is the ultimate key to human coherency. The author suggests that our hidden conflicts and the physical tension locked inside our bodies are actually frozen postulates. Think of a frozen postulate like a glitch in your source code, conflicting commands that get physically stuck in your nervous system. By deeply understanding and speaking the consonant architecture with absolute precision, we can literally debug our own operating system and physically unfreeze these hidden conflicts.
The text tells us that to spell a word is, quite literally, to cast a spell. When you realize that spelling is casting and that language is actual physical architecture, your entire perspective shifts. You're no longer just using arbitrary, made-up labels to describe the world around you. You are actively writing it into existence. Which leaves us with this final, profound thought to consider as we wrap up this explainer. If your words are not just abstract sounds, but objective mathematical commands, since your mouth is a literal 3D printer executing mathematical reality, what reality will you choose to print next?